day 2 on the Nissan. Time to get the engine and that in. So obviously we're running 2JZ CDR 9 gearbox, Mazworks bell housing. That's all sitting here. So Mazworks bell housing, lovely bit of kit. It's all ready to go. I've got cam cubs and that in there. Obviously there's no cams or crank or anything in the engine right now because it's got to be sent off to DY engines to be built. I've got all brand new stuff for that, so not really fussed about that. G35 900 turbo, sits quite high on the water manifold, but that's because we've raised the engine and the gearbox and everything in the car 20mm, as I mentioned before with Huxley Motorsport. So we will see what happens when we put it in and see how much we have to cut off the bonnet. Right, the JZ is actually in the hole, nice and straight. Just threw the front panel on to know what I've got to modify. Just threw some tape lines over to see how much it's going to stick out the bonnet. So I may just get away with the turbo, maybe notch the underskin a little bit, but yeah, the cam covers are definitely going to be sticking out, which is cool. It's fine by me. But yeah, it's finally in. Obviously it's all got to come back out again to be built, but you know, I've got a lot of stuff for that. There's big things coming up on that one, but now I can start mocking up things and figure out radiator, figure out the intercooler setup, can figure out boost pipes. You know, I've got bind inlet manifold, so I can figure all that stuff out. But you know, there's plenty of clearance on the gearbox side of things. Biggest problem with JZs on S bodies is the sump hangs so low. What we did for this one is, as you can kind of see, the sump is at level with the subframe, so it's perfect in my eyes. You know, hopefully I never hit it. And the gearbox just hangs a little bit lower than the chassis rails, which you can't really tell, but you might be able to get some sort of idea. It's pretty tucked up, and with this car being low, because it's got to come down another inch once everything's back on. Yeah, I've always run my cars low, I always will. That's just the nature of the game. So I just threw in my s13 Motorsport radiator, purely for mock-up, because it's going to all need to come forward. There is not enough room, not enough clearance once I get the oil pump on, the cam pulleys and the crank and everything else, alternator and that sort of stuff. There's just not going to be enough room for all the pulleys and a big fan once we get that mounted on there as well. So what I'm thinking is remake this front end piece, so sort of leave this where it is, come out to here, make a loop that comes off the bottom, bring the radiator basically to where this is. That should give me plenty of clearance and still fit everything that needs to fit, because obviously the lights mount off here because it's pop up, so it should all be good when it's done. Just one of those changes that I knew I was going to have to make, and definitely going to have to make it now. So I'm also toying with the idea of going -20 AN lines for the radiator hoses, just so they never pop off, even if it does lift the head, which I'm sure it won't. But you know, I just want to be safer than sorry at this point, and while it's all apart, now's the time to do it. So yeah, I'm not going to modify anything today. but the bonnet is definitely going to have to be cut. I'm definitely going to need 2 people for that. It's going to be a lot of lifting and cutting, lifting, cutting, lifting, cutting, so I'll get that done next couple of weeks, and I can start bolting a few other little bits on the car now. I've got some brand new door strikers, brand new in the packet, OEM ones, so they can go on. I can put all the sunroof mountings on, do all of that stuff, put the seals on. All I've got to do is flat and polish the roof, but I'll do that when everything's all said and done. I could probably at this stage get the glass guy back to fit the rear quarter windows back in. I can put all the little runners and bits on there. I could probably get the windscreen done, but I don't want to do that until very last. Another thing I'm going to have to modify is the heater box. Where we made the tunnel bigger, obviously the mountings for the heater box, they used to sit right on the original tunnel, so I've taken a few little pieces out that are down there, and it still doesn't quite fit, only just. So I'm just going to trim the bottom of the box out. I'll probably end up plastic welding something back in and making some mounts for it, but I can't see that being too difficult. Famous last words, eh? But I've still got to figure out where we're going to mount all the ECU master stuff. Got a PMU to mount, got ECU to mount, I've got the screen that I want to get the actual dash display screen for. Obviously I've got the suede dash, and I'm still running OEM center console, still running front carpet, still running speakers, still running a stereo. It's still going to be a street car, so I need to take all that into account as well. Other than that, it's just one of those just pick it away little bit by little bit jobs now until we can send the engine off. Just got to save up a lot more money for that. It's definitely an expensive one, that, but worth every penny. At least now I can figure out exactly where my turbo is going to mount. I can figure out downpipe, I can weld the wastegate on once I get the steering column finished, which you'll see in another video what I'm doing to that. I can connect that back up down here, and I'll probably end up running the screamer pipe off the wastegate for about here, go this side of it, and then the downpipe will probably come down and through the gap, because I've got a master cylinder that's going to go there as well for the clutch. So it may have to kink and come through here, and I want to go down into oval pipe underneath the car for the maximum clearance, but that'll be a job that we work on with Style Dynamics. You know, they've helped me out on the car a lot over the years, and they'll be helping me out again, and even on more projects. But yeah, still representing their sticker on the rear hatch, so they're all there and they're still on board to help. Alright, last job of the day then. I fitted the Serial 9 shifter. Was a bit of a pain because of how high I've got the gearbox in the tunnel, and the shifter protrudes through that, but you know, it's all in there, it's all tight, and it's a blooming nice shifter. While we've got the car up in the air, you get a better look at just how much of this massive CDO9 gearbox comes below the chassis rails. It's barely 10 mil, so it should be plenty. You can see the sumps, it's the same level as the subframe, so that's all nice as well, so I shouldn't have any problems with smashing the life out of it. That 10 mil is basically 2 bolts at the bottom, but yeah, it's mountings above everything else. You can kind of see back there the subframe and everything, how much that's been modified. But I'll do a proper video on all of that stuff later on. But yeah, it's definitely coming together now. I think I might just get away with the bonnet clearing the turbo, looking at it like that, but definitely not there. But it's going to look cool, I know that much.